Joining me in the studio for more is Brigadier General in the IDF Reserves, Amir Avivi, Director of the Israel's Defense and Security Forum, and a former IDF Deputy Commander of the Gaza Strip Division. And General Avivi, thanks for joining us. Well, we knew those tensions might be coming, but it looks like they're coming out more in the open now on two key issues. As Mike mentioned, the settlement issue, specifically this one north of Jerusalem, but even more so on Iran.
Well, yes, we have to understand that for Israel, the Iranian issue is an existential issue. And obviously, in Israel, we are very worried about the talks. They were afraid that they might take off the sanctions, that they might go back to the former agreement, which is completely irrelevant today, because the Iranians have moved so much forward with the plans that it makes the whole discussion at the moment irrelevant. I'm really worried about the fact that while we are facing an existential threat, Secretary Blinken finds the time to deal with some houses in the northern part of Jerusalem. It seems to me inconceivable, and I would expect the American administration to really focus on how to assist Israel to deal with this nuclear threat.
Now, you mentioned about going back to the 2015 nuclear agreement. There's even doubts that the Iranians would even accept that now. The talk about perhaps some kind of even partial agreement, the U.S. lifting some of the sanctions on Iran, while Iran makes some of the moves on its nuclear program, but not maybe a complete shutdown or pullback. How problematic would that be for Israel?
Well, the last time sanctions were lifted in Obama's administration, the Iranians used the money to basically equip all their militias around the Middle East and conduct attacks all over the Middle East, which resulted with millions of people fleeing the area, mostly towards Europe. So obviously this is going to completely destabilize the Middle East. And also it's going to create a situation where there won't be any ability to deal with the Iranians. Once sanctions are off, they won't have any interest to move forward with the deal. So we expect the sanctions to be kept until a new relevant agreement with no sunset and with real inspection is being forwarded, which unfortunately this is not what's going to happen at the moment.
Right. Amir, it's not a great deal of difference on the Iran issue between the previous Netanyahu government and the Bennett government, but there is a difference in terms of, let's say, tactics, which is Bennett came into office saying we're going to have the same views on Iran, but maybe the tone of the discussion will be different with the U.S. We won't be as public with our differences. But now coming down to crunch time, we see Bennett more willing to go public with the readout of that call. Do you think he should speak out more against the U.S. position here?
Well, definitely. I think that at the end of the day, things look one way when you are not in office and you talk about somebody else, and what happens once you are leading the issue. Israel has to be really firm on its views. And there is no way to go around it. At the end of the day, they will have to convey the messages to this administration. And Israel is preparing. I can tell you that the IDF is preparing for any future scenario. Israeli generals at the moment visited the U.S., Tampa, the CENTCOM, and are coordinating with the Americans. I think that also the American army understands, especially CENTCOM, that if these talks don't succeed, and they probably won't succeed, the military option must be ready and on the table.
Right, and Defense Minister Benny Gantz will be going to the U.S. also to further discussions, and of course that may be one of the issues on the table.